The lost treasure of the Knights Templar and pirates buried gold deep underground, and the Vikings sailed there before Columbus, according to legend. However, new evidence suggests that the Romans may have also been on Oak Island. The search for these artifacts was difficult and nearly cost a man his life. One of the biggest mysteries of all is Bole 10X, a deep, dangerous, water-filled shaft that has been the focus of treasure hunters for decades. 80s Dan Blanken's ship is one of Oak Island's most devoted. Because borehole 10X is 235 feet deep and begins with a 181-foot vertical drop through a reinforced steel and concrete shaft, it was not an easy excavation, despite searchers' belief that it could lead to whatever was very deep down. Narrows into a tunnel that is barely 27 inches wide, 44 tons long, and completely obscured by murky water with no light. Two professional divers, Harvey Morash and Michael Gartz, were brought in to investigate 10X by the Lagena brothers. They were aware of the risks, but were unprepared for what transpired. Michael would act as a safety diver while Harvey descended, and the crew on the surface would stay in touch through an underwater communication system. However, things started to fall apart a few minutes into the dive with no signal or voice. The team on the surface had no idea if Michael was safe, and they tried to call his name, but could not find him. In summary, Oak Island has been a mystery for centuries, with legends suggesting Vikings sailed there before Columbus, the lost treasure of the Knights Templar, and pirates buried gold deep underground. The mysterious Boral 10X remains a mystery. And the Lagena brothers' plan to explore it was not well prepared for the risks involved. The team was in a panic as they were underwater, unable to communicate or find Michael. They tried tapping on the pipe to send signals, but no sign of him. The surface people were tense as they couldn't shoot. Marty and Rick were working on the southern portion of the swamp when they discovered a wooden structure that was concealed beneath a stone road. The craftsmanship reminded them of old cabins where every piece had a place. The connections between the swamp, the garden shaft, and the hidden road appeared to be linked. However, the most important aspect that they were still missing was that they did not fully understand the tunnels, wooden structures, and odd arrangement of the swamp. All of these elements pointed towards something that was more than just pieces of wood or random artifacts. Upon embarking on a treasure search, Rick and his team came to the realization that the Money Pit was not merely a simple quest, but rather a war against time, nature, and an unknown power. The Money Pit had always been known for its hidden treasures and daring exploits, but now they discovered something darker and more mysterious within it. As they dug deeper, they encountered objects and structures that didn't fit with the area's known history. The team often discussed the day's finds with a mix of excitement and apprehension theories as they pondered the origins of the road and the purpose of the hidden structures. As a result of the hard weather conditions and the challenging terrain, the stakes became higher, and the looming sense of messing with things that should be kept untouched added to the weight of their work. In 2006, Rick and his brother Marty purchased 50% of Oak Island Tours, Inc., the company that owned the majority of the island. Rick's childhood fantasy led him to become a treasure hunter, and his passion for history and the desire to learn more about the past never left him. He wanted to do things the right way, no shortcuts and no reckless movements. This wasn't just about finding riches. It was about comprehending the past and piecing together a forgotten story. Rick tackled the hunt with resolve and a sense of determination that had been building for decades. Past. A new set of questions regarding the history of the island was brought to light when an old shoe bottom with metal studs that had been made using conventional methods was found. Marty and Rick Lagena, along with their colleague Craig Tester, concentrated their efforts on the southern portion of the swamp, where they discovered a concealed wooden structure hidden beneath a stone pathway. This structure resembled the construction of a log cabin with additional wooden supports and underbrush, which suggested that construction may have been abruptly halted. The team was eager to learn more about the historical significance of the site and the lives of those who had once called it home. Gold digging is known to be a good way to make money, but as miners get better and go deeper, they find things other than gold. Some of these things are as useless as metal bits, while others are as valuable as gold itself. Let's look into how Parker finds mammoth tusks while he's looking for cash. Parker Schnabel's strange find. Parker Schnabel is used to getting his hands dirty and getting down on the ground when he's looking for money. He began working at the family mine when he was a youngster in the first season. Beginning with the second season, the young man took over the family mines and has been one of the most famous gold miners ever since. Other mine bosses have a hard time, but Schnabel seems to have the Midas touch because his team gets thousands of ounces of gold every season, which is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. After 10 episodes on Gold Rush, Parker has saved up a dime wealth, which is thought to be around $10 million. He's not going to slow down anytime soon. However, the miner has found more than just gold in the fields. He told them about some other strange things he had seen on his trips. There is a lot of stuff buried here. There's a good chance that miners have found some strange things on their trips. Parker doesn't find gold, but he does find something that many archaeologists would love. In an interview with the Maelstrom, he talked about the strange thing he found while mining for gold and how it might be the most important thing he had that wasn't gold. It was interesting that he told them he had found a pair of well-preserved woolly mammoth teeth. These tusks are very well preserved because they are made of ivory and were buried in permafrost, which kept them safe from the cold weather. Some of them were found in perfect shape, even though woolly mammoths went extinct a very long time ago. Finding fossils of preserved bodies makes us think about what makes a thing. Alaska is a place where mammogram tusks are sometimes found. They have a lot of value and help an industry grow. Because these tusks are made of ivory, they can be very valuable if they are kept in good shape. In some cases, they can sell for more than $1 million each. Parker and his team on Gold Rush might not find anything more valuable than gold, but mammoth tusks are definitely among the most expensive things that have ever been found. To make a long story short, the mammoth tusks he found would be worth a lot of money, because people are willing to buy almost anything. But Schnabel says he won't sell the tusks, even though they are valuable and could be valuable. To sell those kinds of things, he would have to get a lot of different permits, which he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to kill the tusks, instead, he wants to keep them. He thinks they're really cool and that they shouldn't be sold. And a year later, Mr. Oates did the same thing to become a gold prospector. They went to Molly Agul in 1862 and made a living there for 7 years. Then, in 1864, they hit gold. They found the amazing thing that made history, a huge piece of gold wrapped in quartz that was hidden just below the surface of a slope called Bulldog Gully. Mr. Deason wrote that he tried to use the pick to pick up the rock, but the handle broke because it was so big. He then got a crowbar and dug the nugget out of the ground. It was weighed at the London Chartered Bank in Dunolly, which is about 12 miles away. The nugget was broken up right away because the scales were too big to make a model or take pictures of it. Because people who saw it remember it, a drawing was made of it, and there is now a copy in the Dunolly Museum. Miners in places with lots of gold are throughout Oak Island, including gold-plated buttons, silver coins, and gemstones. The team is committed to finding answers to these questions as they continue to investigate the swamp and its possible treasure caches. One such find, which was made on Lot 21 in 2018, is thought to be at least 500 years old. It is a stunning and priceless treasure. The following day, archaeologist Lars Nien and archaeometallurgist Emma Culligan joined the team to examine an artifact that resembled a glass gem close to Lot 5's spherical feature. The artifact has a significant amount of lead, which is uncommon in modern glass, particularly glassware. The artifact, known as paste, is made of ground-up, highly Li-containing flint glass that was pressed into a mold. If it is a natural feature or if it could actually be man-made. Marty finds interesting details about John Edwards's presentation, such as a stick in between the boulder and the sediment, which suggests that people were moving around boulders to move water through the area. This seems like people were manipulating or trying to change the water level in the swamp. For whatever reason, if Dr. Spooner and Billy are correct, the area around this feature could offer evidence to support the theory of researcher John Edwards, who believes it may have been created centuries ago by members of the Knights Templar. They found some nice cut wood at the base of the swamp material, which they plan to carbonate and use to determine if they find any other oddities and possibly some metals. The next morning, they plan to find some good stuff, including a big tree, 2 layers of trees, and several other tree stumps. These findings suggest that the swamp may have been artificially manipulated hundreds of years ago, as trees are not able to naturally grow in marsh environments. The team intends to stroll around and examine the rocks that border the swamp after discovering another intriguing discovery, a large piece of timber that was brought here for a purpose and has been hacked multiple times. While investigating a rock-lined dip at Oak Island that is thought to be a treasure pit, Billy and Rick come across a peculiar concealed stone feature that they think could revolutionize the game. Since it appears to be quite old, The team is thrilled with the discovery and wants to take a break. Billy and Rick are impressed by the circle of stones, which they believe was created when Billy bailed the water out. They don't find any metals, but they found no metals at the paved area or on the stone roadway. This suggests that people may have been on Oak Island earlier than they thought the board they found was cut, and there were loads of wood along the line. One of the features they found was big long strokes with an axe, which could be a candidate for C-14 Fred Nolan, who discovered several uniform lines of wooden stakes carbon, dated to as early as the 1500s, was convinced they were survey markers used to artificially create the brackish bog. The Oak Island team is considering whether they have found a similar stake at a site believed to mark a location where treasure could be buried. However, they don't think it is natural. Rick suggests having Dr. Spooner come out and try to core through the site, but they don't think they should do anything more physically until Dr. Spooner comes in. Craig believes that if people were building something at John Edwards' site, they must be careful when examining it, as it may tell the story of who was there and could be a game changer.
Rick has been able to pay off his royalties for the year to Troy and is starting to feel better about this year's haul. Despite beginning his season 2 weeks later than everyone else, he is proud to say that he and his team have been moving along very well and have been working at full capacity. They have their hopper feeder in place and working through their pay dirt steadily. His goal of 1,000 gold ounces for the season is more urgent than ever now that he has a clear path ahead of him with no debts hanging over his head. The failure of last year cannot be repeated, as he failed to meet his goal and barely broke even. Rick plans to put some gold in the safe as the gold prices have shot way up.
This is great. I mean, 206 ounces, man, that's awesome. If we just keep going deeper, and that's just going to get better.
That's the next challenge, right?
Yeah.
Their gold weight. Rick would need an ounce of gold per 100 yards from this extension of the cheap cut. They have run over 7,000 yards, and Rick needs at least 70 ounces from this venture. The gold is carefully poured onto the scale, and it measures well over 70 ounces, reaching 82.37 ounces. This is a fantastic showing, especially because gold prices are up at a massive $1,750 an ounce. This means that Rick has mined $144,000 worth of gold from the cheap cut extension. His hunch, combined with his knowledge of the history and geography of Alaska, has paid off in a big way. This is Rick's biggest haul of the season. Everyone is left amazed, as they have never seen such a good cleanup with their own eyes before. Rick reflects on how they never came anywhere close to this last year. It seems that his theory about the moraine was proven correct, and he found an amazing cache of gold.
At this point, it's only numbers like that we need. They kind of got to keep going up, so.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot more of it out here, right, on this property, so.
A few more hauls like this, and their season will go very smoothly. It also eases concerns that their late start in the season would irrevocably destroy their chances of meeting their gold ounce goal. It's barely September, and the weather has turned colder, covering the land in snow and slowing down operations for the Nest crew. This is a warning that the end of the season is around the corner, despite everyone believing they should still be experiencing autumn weather. Rick is upset, as he believes his wash plant, Rocky, should still be running at this time in the season. However, after helping him bring in his biggest gold ounce haul in the season only a week ago, his wash plant, Rocky, has shut down unexpectedly. The weather will not allow for water to run through the machine without freezing and disrupting the equipment. This didn't stop the team, but the more they